Peter?
Hey, what's up?
It is the 4th installment of our extremely popular series, OGs React to IGs.
I love this. This is Quattro, Doppio, as they say. OGs, original gangsters, react to IGs, the youngins. Go for it.
Here we go.
I'm not a fan of jazz, and I don't think...
You love that, don't you?
I'm Adam Manis.
And I'm Peter Martin.
And you're listening to the You'll Hear It podcast.
A couple of guys, a couple of pianists. God, it's tricky.
It's really, what is it?
Talking about music.
You're
pianists talking about music.
The way your attitude shifts when you say the tagline.
I don't like the pressure.
Just a couple guys.
I don't like the pressure of it.
Talking about.
But it really is. I mean, that's what this has become. It's a beautiful thing. I'm honored and excited and exalted to be here in your presence. We have producer Caleb over at the mixing board. We have you at the mixing board. I don't know why you're both at the mixing board, but it's all good.
Seems redundant.
And today we are talking about, thank you guys to our dear listeners. The new channel is blowing up. Can we talk about that?
Yeah, if you haven't gone and subscribed to our new YouTube You'll Hear It channel, go there. You're going to see a bunch of videos of all the podcasts we're making. And we go live there every Monday with a little Jazz Helpline Live. Monday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
And even if you are primarily a listener to the pod, which is what to be honest, that's how I primarily consume this.
It's the greatest.
I don't like looking at us, but I don't even like listening to us. But if I'm going to, I'm going to listen.
Yeah.
But I still go over and subscribe on the YouTube because you can participate in the lively comment section.
It is good over there.
Yeah.
It is good.
And subscribe soon before Elon Musk buys YouTube and charges you to subscribe. So you want to do it now.
And
I mean, just play the right notes.
just play the right notes.
Exactly.
Is that so hard?
Exactly.
Well, I'll tell you what. Playing the right notes is not hard for our IG musician today.
Yes.
This one is...
First of all, is he an IG musician? We're going to have a little blowback.
He's more of a YouTube musician, I would say, which is, the case with a lot of the people that I think we would talk about. But we did our Jesus Molina episode, and Jesus was a very popular ask. But in the comments for the Jesus Molina episode, we got a lot of requests for this person. This is, drumroll please, this is Joey Alexander.
That's right.
So
we've had probably more requests for our ongoing award-winning series, OGs, React to IGs, for this young artist, not as young as when I first met him, but young artist than anybody, right?
Totally agree. And you know what? I was just realizing, is he the first? He might be the only IG artist that's actually playing like straight ahead, modern jazz. Like everyone else is playing some kind of version of
Herbie.
Yeah,
with their impression of it.
Yeah, no, like a lot of fusion, there's a lot of Nords so far happening.
A lot of Nams and Nords.
A lot of Nams, a lot of Nords.
Four-letter words that start with N.
A lot of Nords, a lot of Nams,
and I mean,
a lot of flurries going on.
Yeah, we probably wouldn't have put Joey Alexander. So this, you might be saying this is controversial. He's not an IG artist. This is what y'all asked for. Y'all put him.
Don't blame them.
No,
man.
they're the ones. No, but I'm saying we wouldn't have, in our list of potential IG artists, I don't think Joey would have come up.
I consider Joey to just be a great jazz musician who happens to be super friggin' young. Yeah.
Well, not anymore, but we've known him since he was young. He's still young.
Yeah.
But I mean, exactly. So this will be fun though. But because he's in that same age group with the other artists we're talking about, I think that's very applicable. And to talk about where the music's going. Look, variety's the spice of life. You ever heard that?
I have heard of that a lot. And actually, so I wonder before we play, so I have something queued up here that if you haven't heard, it's going to blow your mind. Or if you haven't seen it, again, go to the YouTube if you want to watch the video on this. But Peter, you have an interview with, I think it's Anderson Cooper in 60 Minutes with Wynton Marsalis and Joey Alexander when Joey was just bursting onto the scene here, still quite young, still a child.
Know how old Joey Alexander is now? That could have. I'll look it up. No, I got you. That could have been good for our research for this. But you know what? We like doing things. So he's 19 years old now.
Okay.
And this was approximately 7 years ago. So he's like 12 years old. I was going to say 11 or 12. And yeah, I think folks will enjoy this. Let's pull it up on there we go. There's Mr. Marsalis. What's happening? Wynton Skane, as he's known. And yeah, this is Wynton talking about keep in mind, this is 2016, so we're going back a few years.
I mean, in classical music, we've seen a lot of prodigies before. In jazz, do you see prodigies?
No, we don't have any tradition or history of prodigies pre-puberty. We do have precocious musicians who are 15 and 16 who can play, because we're inventing music. You have to be able to, and also we prize identity. Even now, he has elements of his style are very original. And it's the most difficult thing to achieve, your own sound. So
You've never seen that in somebody hit it.
Not just me. No one has ever seen it.
Whoa.
It's a big claim.
No one has ever seen a person play with that type of sophistication harmonically, knowledge of the music, and a type of formed identity and ability to invent something cohesive in the context of time.
So that's because that's the thing about jazz. It's not just knowing the notes. It's not just knowing the music. It's
not about the
inventing.
notes, right?
It's not.
Jazz
It's
is
improvised.
It's adult music. Like, it doesn't celebrate being a child. It celebrates the progression to adulthood. And that's why Joey and I talk. I'm always telling
Like
him,
Joey
he's not
getting
like a
uncomfortable when he said that. He's like, what am I doing here then?
It's put out because he's a kid. The goal is adulthood and to develop artistry. But philosophically, when I first spoke with him, he's extremely strong.
Yeah, so I mean, Wynton, I think, did a fantastic job. I kind of remember around this time of I mean, I don't think he claims he discovered him or anything, but really not only featuring him with his band some and at Jazz and Lincoln Center and stuff early on, but in a way that was very, respectful of him being a young dude.
Yeah.
But also really, keeping in mind what a rare once a generation, or as Wynton is saying, ever. I don't know about that, but maybe so. I mean,
It's hard to know because it was.
Yeah.
There could have been. I mean, it's hard to believe that Art Tatum wasn't able to do this when he was a kid.
right.
You know what I mean? Starting so early.
But maybe I think Wynton talking about it, and we're going to hear in some of the examples, the creativity at that time. I remember being like, the maturity for his playing, it wasn't like he was playing like a 60-year-old, but he wasn't playing like an 11-year-old.
No, and
it was like playing like a really great young player that's like 16 or 18
right.
or 22 that you'd be like, I really enjoy
yeah,
that.
it was
If
like
you didn't look at him and see how young he was.
he was like a teenager who was a real prodigy,
Right.
Or like as Wynton said, which I love, like a precocious teenager. Because
Right.
Wynton's right. Because in classical music you can have chops at an early age. Anybody can have chops on their instrument. It's
Right.
just doing push-ups, just reps.
Right,
But
we're
to be
seeing that
able
in the classical world
For
a
sure.
lot. I mean, by the thousands.
and even like a lot of IG musicians, a lot
Yeah.
of drummers and things like that. We see
should
these
do
kids.
IG, classical. Can we do? Okay, I got you.
Well, not
for
even
the next
classical,
one.
like people who are playing like, Foo Fighter songs when they're 4 years old on the drums or whatever, and they're chopping it up, right? Like anybody can play that, but it's the ability, and this is what sets, I think, Joey Alexander apart. It was his, at that age, ability to have his own sound and to create music, to compose music on the spot.
Yeah.
It's just, you just don't see.
Right.
Just kids that age. So here's him. I wonder, Peter, if you can share my screen here. Here's Joey at 13. So this is the year after that interview with Wynton, playing Countdown, John Coltrane's Countdown with Larry Grenadier and open studio artist Ulysses Owens Jr.
Yes.
And
You got to be kidding me. Got to be kidding me. That's Power Station. Okay, big shout out to that incredible press roll. You wanna
Shout
learn
out to
that, come
UO's
check out
press
Ulysses'
roll.
course, finding your beat.
Finding Your Beat, Ulysses Owens.
Good rhythm section.
Big shout out to that huge sound on the bass, Larry Grenadier.
Whoa, I like those guys.
13 years old. Yeah.
Hello.
It's that, man. It's the ability to be in the moment.
So
The space here.
yeah.
Right? I mean, he doesn't have as much chops as Domi, or I mean, he's also much younger than everybody else we've ever watched here.
You said 13 years old?
13 years old here. Yeah, I
good.
think the youngest person we watched was like
18,
19 or
19,
something. Yeah. And so it's a big difference.
Yeah.
It's a big difference. But it's the fact that he was able to be present and with the music that was happening, even doing a solo piano thing, and let themes develop and let dynamics and space happen. That's something that you don't see for a lot of IG musicians either.
Absolutely. And I mean, you know what I realized, and I'm remembering back, of course, you know, his technique and his musicality, his composing, everything has developed a bunch since then, which is exciting.
Yeah.
And I wasn't surprised when I first heard him around this time, because I was like, you know, I mean, there's always the question of like, they're young and they're getting accolades. Are they going to keep their heads, you know, on straight? Are the parents going to mess it up? His parents are super sweet. I've known them for a while. And, you know, they're very, you know, that's a whole nother thing that can derail things, but a really close-knit family. But what I'm noticing there, like, he doesn't have outsized chop for a 13-year-old.
No, not at all.
player.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I probably had chops about like that at 13.
I could see that. Yeah.
But I couldn't play that.
Right.
I couldn't, like, there's his phrasing
Yeah.
is the part of his chops, which is the much more subtle part.
Yeah.
That's so amazing to me.
I could play fast when I was 13 as well.
Yeah,
Like, it
and
wasn't.
he's not even like, I mean, he's definitely in the 1%, but I'm just saying,
Yeah.
that's to me is not the most impressive thing.
No,
Is his velocity kind of
It's
chop.
the soul that's happening in the
It's the
music.
soul.
That's what's so like out of this world about it. It's like,
yeah.
I've never seen a
And it's
kid that
swinging.
age, and it's
like-
swinging.
and it's like he just really creative things, and like the phrasing is
Yeah.
great. It's just weird to see a young
and
person with that.
with, you know, a big difference I think with Joey and the other people. And no, there's no disrespect to the other people we've watched, but he's also doing this with Larry Grenadier and Ulysses Owens Jr.
Right.
And he's not
just playing with his peers where he's like, play this, let's work this thing out for 8 hours. in the basement.
or with himself,
Right.
recording himself over and over again. He's playing live in the studio with two of the greats.
You listening, Jacob Collier? We're calling you out.
No, I mean, come on. But like, that is impressive.
Yeah,
For that
sure.
age, you know,
For
be able
sure.
to hang with those guys in the way that he is. Let's
Yeah.
keep going here.
Okay, so what age will we be going to next?
Well, let's do. Hold on. I'm going to rely on you, Peter. To
Okay. Oh, dude.
So let's go with the old.
Oh,
This was from 3 months ago. So now he is what, 19? You said.
19.
Larry's still in this band. Yeah.
Larry's not 19. Kenny Scott. Who's that on guitar?
That is. Gilad Heckelsman. The Rhodes.
This is Joey's team.
Switched over to the piano.
Yeah, I mean, you can just see the way he's comping here. Very.
And now he's been
Very
playing
mature.
with like some heavy musicians since he was 12 years old, 11.
Yeah, but that can mess you up too.
Yeah.
You can either take you next level or. Look at
Skip ahead a little bit
he's
here.
really listening.
Everything's
interact
going
with Kendrick
perfectly
Scott.
to plan, Peter.
What's that?
Everything's going perfectly to plan.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Progressing nicely.
Oh, gotcha.
Sorry.
Well, no, it's very like, I love the way that he was playing. Like you can really feel, and then I'm starting to think and analyze it, like his interaction with everybody, but especially like with Kendrick Scott. Like that was some very advanced. It's the kind of thing that if you're listening, you get the benefits because it's like, wow, it's so interactive. Like I can tell you guys are really listening to each other, that kind of a thing. But it's also like there's some real inside baseball there to the way that Kendrick plays. And I've played with Kendrick, you know, a few times. I've played with him quite a few times. And he's really the kind of drummer that he's always going to, like, he's a great accompanist. But if you interact with him in a way that's kind of getting close to his advanced level, he'll really, really dig in with you and have those conversations. It's kind of like you're talking to somebody and, you know, there's different levels and they'll kind of see, like, can you go to that deep level of conversation? And if you do, it's very exciting because you connect in that way. And Joey's doing that, you know, in a way that belies his age for sure. And he's not, you know, relying on overly flat. He's doing some of the two-handed stuff that's very musical and then going into the comping and soloing. And it's spot on. I'm a fan.
It's good, but just honestly,
yeah,
like I'm wondering, I mean, it was good. Really good.
Oh, we might have our first debate in a while since #1 OG reacts to iTunes, I think.
No, but so will he advance past this stage? Because this is, so you could hear other 19-year-old pianists doing this exact same sound. So, like, will he find a different sound having started so young, or is he going to kind of go into the fold of East Coast musicians who can really play and are obviously influenced here? You could hear a lot of Brad Mehldau. Maybe that's because Larry's there.
He's 19 years old, but I think that's the danger.
You know what I'm saying, though? Is like,
because he's a prodigy, do we treat him like he's, you know, a 7-year veteran? Right.
So that's not as fully baked as I was expecting, to be honest. Like, ooh. I mean, really, really good, but like,
I was just like,
is it a as progressive as he was when he was 12? Is it that for a 19-year-old, or is he just kind of falling into?
This one? I'm not
a fan of.
What?
Joey Alexander?
No, I am a fan. No. I need to listen to more. But no, okay, you know what I'm saying, though? Yeah. Like, it doesn't seem, I was going to say, expected, but
it sounded really high quality, but a little pedestrian to you, perhaps?
Extremely high quality.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, extremely high quality. I couldn't play like that when I was 19. That sophisticated for sure. I can't play like that now. But like, is it a sound? Is it a little bit expected? Is it a little bit like,
I see what you're saying.
You know, is it a little bit like, oh yeah, well that's what 19-year-olds play in modern jazz when they live in Baltimore or whatever.
Yeah, I know, but I wonder now. We came up in a different time. We both came up in a little bit of a different time, but more similar than like when we talk about Joey Alexander and, you know, Domi. Mm-hmm. Like this is kind of unusual now for a 19-year-old, I would say. I mean, we know other ones, of course, that are doing that. And yeah, but it's not as prevalent, I think, that a 19-year-old pianist can really connect with a Larry Grenadier and
no, that's true.
The guitarist whose name I'm forgetting already and who was amazing.
Yeah.
And Kendrick Scott on that level. That's what I'm saying. Like, there's some things that aren't as obvious that I think we take for granted because you would be doing that. You know, I mean, but yes, so that does give it a certain amount of like, okay, he's not the only one that can do that.
I guess I was hoping more, and I'd love to see him just like grow past the typical straight ahead jazz route. I love the straight ahead jazz thing, but like, it seems like he's almost.
But that's his thing.
Yeah, no,
we're not allowed to do that anymore because everything is like got to be, you know, from another planet or something.
Yeah, no.
I feel like he's got a really good place. I mean, if he just continues along this, I'm happy because I don't necessarily see like a lot of times when we see these prodigies. I've seen it so much in classical music more because it's happening more when somebody just becomes a really good player and then everybody's like, well, why didn't they become Beethoven or something? It's like, well, just because you start early doesn't mean you're going to go. Like he's in that top group of players. I think certainly 19. I mean, when do you start to consider somebody like a pro player? I mean, obviously he did it way earlier, but if you say somebody who's between 16 and, you know, 116 or whatever, you know, like you've got that group, but you got the younger players, 16 to 30, say. To me, he's not necessarily the top of the heap, like he's my #1, but he's in that A group. You know, he's top shelf to me.
I want to listen to a little more. You mind if we listen to a little more of his new album? I just want to get this is Mac Avenue, by the way, always doing interesting stuff.
Oh, he's on Mac. Yeah, of course.
No, shame on me. I haven't heard a lot of his new stuff.
Yeah, no. But
Okay,
I got a question for you.
so it isn't really fair of me here because
Well, no, it is. But check it out. Like, say you didn't know who this was, and I played it for you, and I said,
No,
"This is a young pianist."
that's what I was just gonna say.
Yeah. What would your reaction be?
I'm like, oh, this is promising. This is good. Yeah.
And I think it's okay just because we started earlier that we say it's promising. He's really good. Because to me, it's like, his time, his fields, interaction is very advanced. I'm not saying it's advanced beyond everybody else, but he's put himself in that group.
You know what?
He could have stumbled with the whole child prodigy thing into being like those actors and actresses that end up like shoplifting or something. I was glad he didn't do that.
You know what is not helping
What?
with this conversation is the Wynton clip that we started with. Because he's got him being like, no one's ever heard this before.
Right. He
And
pumped him
and
up.
I've heard this before. Like this, I've heard 19-year-olds who explore
Right.
this realm. It's what you do, right? Like you play with these great players and you explore some sounds. And I mean, he's really learning how to become a top-level improviser. But I think with the setup that we had in the beginning of Wynton saying like,
Come on,
never
Wynton,
heard
you heightened
any.
our expectations again.
I
You were
wanna-
like, we're going to get Buddy Bolden on the piano.
Yeah, I want to
Yeah.
hear sounds I've never heard before. I want to hear completely different,
Yeah.
kinds of instrumentation and
Well, to be
stylistic
fair-
choices, and it seems kind of straight down the middle.
Yeah, you're right. I think to be fair, as I'm recalling, and look, full disclosure here, we didn't have we started talking about this, and you're like, save it for the pilot because we thought this was, and it is a super interesting discussion to have live here. But I would say that Wynton at that time, like, I don't know that he ever said like this is going to be the most innovative musician since Buddy Bolden, but it was just like we have never seen. And, he
And
might
that's
be right.
that's true.
During that thing, but that's no guarantee that means you're going to be Thelonious Monk or
Absolutely. And you know what? It's not fair for me to put that on this kid who's like still finding out what kind of musician he wants to be at 19. Who knows who they're going to be? And just because he had more attention when he was 11, 12, 13, like we all have expectations for him. That's not fair for him. I kind of feel for him. It's got to be tough, man.
It's always a hard thing to be a prodigy, and then especially because that like went right to his most formative years in a way, kind of boyhood to manhood during the pandemic when there wasn't as much performing.
True.
It's a tough thing, but
Well, I can't wait to hear more. Honestly, I want to see where it goes.
yeah, absolutely. Sounds good. Well, until next time.
You'll hear it.
I'm in Steamboat Springs, Colorado currently.
I'm in Indianapolis.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Andrew, hi.
Because I feel inspired to play something else from your playing.
Okay, that's great.
I think using the metronome is a great tool, but it's not the only tool.
All of the answers are really in the music.
What does it mean to live in a groove, be in a groove?
Until next time, happy practicing.